do it. Oh, see?
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon. We are Art Matters New York. I'm Mark Safan. I'm here with my friend, colleague, co-host, Witschi.
Welcome, everyone.
And I'm here with our artists, Marie, Leslie, Barbara, Aldona, and Marcia. And we're here also with May, who is our techie and helping us get this show online. We are a group of artists we formed during the pandemic to continue to paint and talk about our work, what we're looking at, what we're thinking about, our forays into New York City to see shows or wherever we happen to live to see gallery shows, take some pictures, look at them and discuss what's going on, just to sort of stay connected. Because as artists, that's what we do. We stay connected by talking about what we are doing and what we enjoy doing, which is painting. So we're going to look at some work today. Let me go back and just say that Hans and I were former teachers at the Art Students League in New York City, and all of our artists were painting and students at the Art Students League, and we've been sharing our work for many years. So that being said, does anyone want to add anything to that? This is our debut of live streaming. We thought maybe you would be interested in what we do. Yeah, just.
We have two very highly respected and sterling teachers, and we are grateful for their input, their critiques, their encouragement, and their talent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Was that a prepared statement?
That was totally off the cuff.
If I can add something, we were actually at an affiliate of the Art Students League in Rockland County, New York, is where we met. We were not going into the city. We were meeting at the former studio and home of Václav Vidlacil, who was a league instructor way back.
That's right. Thank you for adding that.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
right. So I guess we'll just, why don't we just begin? And we'll look at.
Can I make maybe a technical note right here?
Sure.
I'm not sure if it's really on YouTube what we are saying right now.
It is. It is.
Okay, it's not in my browser. Okay.
You have to, I had to Hans, I had to close and reopen YouTube for it to show up.
Okay.
Okay.
Like refresh.
Then we are fine. Yeah, I did refreshing, but it doesn't happen here. But it's fine. Okay, I'm happy. Welcome again, everyone. Okay, let's go on, Mark. Great.
Okay, so if I can share the screen here. Oh, let me do this again. Okay, so share screen, I guess, yeah. So let's just start here. Okay. So this is a recent work. This is from, you know, I wanted to show this just to give a context, Barbara. This is the work that we looked at last week. Okay,
Yes.
I know you sent another work this week, but I just thought it would be important just to show a little bit of a context. Okay, that you're you know what you're doing, you know, drawing, you know, pastels, oil pastels, graphite, whatever it is you're working on, just to show some sort of continuity.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So you want to start here with the new one. I know this is okay. We could just start here.
Oh. Okay.
So this is just, well, okay. let me go. I'm going to do this. Sorry, but this is just a dry run. This is the new one.
Yes.
Okay, that might be better because it's not something we've seen before. But I just wanted to, as I said, show some context.
Yeah.
You want
I
to say
think you-
something?
I think you have to make it a little smaller.
I'm wondering if I can.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yes,
That
I
you're just-
can. There we go.
Oh, okay. Okay. I think it's getting.
Is that
Yes,
the correct?
that's good. One down. One click down. Well, this is okay. One click down, maybe. Okay, this is I saw a photograph of something that I liked. I don't even remember which photograph. And I decided to do a photo transfer using oh gosh, the medium, gloss medium. So I did a photo transfer and it didn't work. It came out so weak, but the patterns in the image was so interesting to me that I decided I would just try to enhance them with mixed mediums. I started out, I think, with colored pencil, not oil pastel, but regular watercolor crayons and watercolor pencils. And then I moved to pastels, oil pastels, and then a little bit of ink. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's finished or not, but it's,
Let me ask you a question. You
Sure.
started with a photo transfer, correct?
yeah, yeah.
So is it important as to did the image that you use, was it important in some regard? Did you choose it for a specific reason and then obliterate it? Or, I mean, did it ever have any kind of personal connection? Or was it just
I didn't really obliterate it. The image, I got a ghost of parts of it.
is it important to know what it is?
No, the original image was not, it was not really important to me. I think it was just a question of, I think it was pretty serendipitous.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it might have been actually last week's, the photo that was
Oh.
used as the basis for last week's image,
Okay.
if that makes any sense. Which
Oh,
you didn't see, you just
okay.
saw the finished
Well, so
piece.
that's important because we're talking
Okay.
about continuity.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah,
like,
yeah.
right? It's like you bring something to the work that develops it, that you're working on, that you're thinking about, that has a kind of a history. And I think
Yes,
that's important.
yes, that's true. That is what happened. Yeah, yeah.
Good.
Okay. That makes me happy too.
Yeah.
And if I may, that's kind of for me personally, that's a Hans thing. Because Hans is always encouraging us to take a theme and develop it and keep developing it until you finally become freer and better. And you go in different directions, but you're looser, better, more confident, and freer.
Yeah. Who is it that didn't we see something last week? A video of a working artist that said she did. Oh, it was, you know who it was? It was, I'm sorry.
Not Cecily Brown.
Yeah, Cecily Brown.
Yeah.
Cecily Brown. Yeah.
Ah,
And she had mentioned that she doesn't mind reworking the same themes over and over and over and over again because she keeps mining new aspects. They become clearer. They become, more, defined just by illuminating different parts or different aspects of those
Yeah.
themes. They take on new life
yes.
and a new dimension. And I think it's interesting with regard to what we're looking at right now, that in the end, you always seem to come back to these abstract elements that you like. And always number one is texture. There's
Yes.
right? So we talked
Yes.
about that last week.
Yes.
That in your pursuit, it's not the literal meaning of, what went into it, the image in this case, the photograph, even though there's a connection, but what comes out of it is, the surface, the activity, the excitement, the feel of the surface, the texture, and of the materials.
Yes.
I have a question, Barbara.
Yes.
I'm wondering how did these stripes occur?
Okay.
How did that happen? I'm curious.
When I made the photograph, my copier, my printer, is I don't know what happens to it, but it messes up. It frequently messes up. I add ink. It's okay. My son comes over. He does some magic to it. Then I don't have any more stripes. But this time I liked that it did this.
Great.
I just thought the regularity of it would be a nice thing to play off.
Absolutely.
It looks a lot like frottage, right?
Yeah.
The Max Ernst technique,
It
like
does.
a rubbing. It looks like a rubbing.
Yeah.
And so think about it. Rubbing, what does that mean? Rubbing, right? It's texture, feel, touch,
Yeah. Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but
To me, the
what
most... Oh yes, go ahead. Sorry.
what I wonder is, because if your printer, for instance, doesn't have enough ink, he makes like these stripes, but they are straight, and here they are bent.
Yeah.
Why? How come they are bent?
Hans, I knew you were going to pick up on that.
Really? So you have a good excuse, Barbara.
They really are straight, but the way I photographed it, I guess the parallax, I got some wavy lines there.
Wow.
So you knew I'm gonna ask this.
I
right?
knew it.
Wow.
I knew
Because
you
I
would see
knew
that.
something is wrong here.
Yes. I like it better this way instead of straight.
Okay.
Well, you can probably figure out a way to do the next one, and create somehow curves, probably figure out how to do that. By photographing this and then feeding it back through the process.
Oh, I could try it again. Then I could do a rubbing of this one too. Not a rubbing, but a transfer.
Barbara, how did you do the transfer initially?
I just took a piece of printmaking paper and I slopped on it a bunch of gloss medium, from acrylic medium. You have to, for some reason, you have to use gloss. I don't know why. And then you press the photograph face down.
Yeah.
And you use either a wooden spoon or a burin, whatever you've got on the back, trying to get as much of the area as possible. And it just did not come through, which is probably a good thing.
Don't you have to use a solvent that's going to...
That's another way to do it. And I think that is a more successful way to tell you the truth.
You have to loosen the ink. You have to revivify the ink.
Well,
for it to...
I know that to be the case. And yet I have seen in several places this other way of doing it with Liquitex gloss medium.
Oh, okay.
So in a way, this suits me better because I'm getting less of the image. And so there's more to play with.
Right.
And the solvent for the Liquitex, I discovered is, it starts with an A. It's a solvent that's called acetone.
Yeah, I think acetone would work on a photograph also. Sure.
It would. That would be a solvent.
It's nail polish remover.
Yeah, you have to be careful with that stuff.
Right.
Well,
yeah. Well, that was also
You don't
part
wanna
of the
inhale it.
appeal of using Liquitex because it's not lethal.
Yeah, you need good ventilation with those things.
Yeah.
It's very, very toxic.
So I like the very light color changes going on in here, the blue and the the terracotta, the brown, whatever. I mean, there's a lot going on here, the texture, the motion, the lines, there's a lot going on in this. You think it's it comes off as very coherent, very simple, but there's actually a lot of complexity, like these dark little areas, really make a big difference.
That's what came through actually from the Liquitex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the end, it really all coheres. It looks like a single, piece feeling. It's very nice.
Thank you. Thank you very much. When I look at it, it looks to me like a sort of an aerial photograph of a landscape, or an aerial something of a landscape.
Yeah.
It has a map characteristic almost.
Yes, yes.
A bird's eye view of a farming furrows.
So let's just real quick, I'm just going to throw this in. Just to see how they relate. That's just that they relate. Just about texture. This is also, the scraping. This has a lot of scraping going on.
Yes.
But yeah, very nice. Okay.
That is from that image. You're jogging my memory now, but placed horizontally.
Right.
So, yeah.
So this came from a photograph, in other words. You were looking at.
Yes. My original, this one.
So the photo did mean something to you originally.
Yes. Yeah, it did.
Right.
It did. Yeah.
And of course the orientation here.
Yeah.
I mean the previous one we saw is of course probably 45 degrees
90.
tilted.
Right.
Yes.
Because the printer doesn't print that thing, I mean, in that way. The stripes, I think.
Oh, right. Oh,
but it's fine. I mean,
you're right. You're right. I
can do
didn't even
whatever
think
you
about
want, but
yeah.
But just
That second one you showed us, is it possible to do it horizontally rather than vertically?
This?
Yeah.
We did that last week. We flipped it around.
Yeah.
yeah,
It winds up looking much more like a landscape when you flip it.
Yeah.
Not that way, but the other way, I think. Oh, yeah, I guess it's this way. No, you're right. The other way. Yeah, this way.
I put it this way.
Yeah.
I do, which means nothing scheme of things, but yeah.
No.
More cohesive this way. It does read as a landscape.
It does. This pink area, I think, is more integrated this way, isn't it? It just sort of sticks out when you look at it vertically.
Oh, well.
No?
Is this the right? Yeah, like this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like it this way. I'm used to it this way.
Yes.
So this is how you originally presented it.
Yes.
And it abstracts it, like it becomes more aerial. When it's turned horizontally, it becomes more landscape.
Yeah, a more literal. Yeah, that's why I like this way also. Yeah. Because it is more abstract. Okay,
can we move on now?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, Barbara, thank you very
move
much.
on. Thanks, Barbara.
Thank you all very much. Oh, this is interesting. Marcia, is this yours?
This is Marcia's.
Oh.
Marcia, you want to?
Expound on it?
A little bit.
Well, I couldn't work with color. yesterday, and I don't know when I'll be able to go back to color.
Mm.
But what I did is I did a transfer from a plate that Phyllis had given me. I just rolled some black ink on, and I was using heavy craft paper as my base, and I manipulated the ink somewhat, but not enough, because I didn't want it quite so black. But you take what you get. And in preparing the heavy craft paper, because it comes on a roll, I had a weight put on it for about a week. I thought about using it at one point, but I couldn't do color yesterday. So what these are again the rhomboids and the triangles, and I don't think all that's successful. It doesn't seem to be successful to me. I imprinted on the plate before I turned it over and put it on the craft paper with tools, but it just seemed to be very heavy. And the line that you see going through the circle on the middle right is something I did with my finger, because it looked too heavy. I used combs, I used brushes, and it just probably was too well set up by then, almost dry. And it just transferred the way I wanted it. On top of it, I put pieces of textured paper that I had in a file. I try to balance it. And again, the rhomboids, triangles, tearing, pasting, whatever. And this is what I came up with.
Marsha, a question. Is the black background that's not your carpet? This is what is it? What is that?
It's black acrylic printing ink.
Ah, okay, nice.
But how did you get the texture, that particular texture?
Nice.
That's how I got it.
How?
And then I just put it on top of the craft paper.
Oh, wow.
And rubbed it on.
With a roller, a brayer?
I have a what do you call it? A disc Baron, but that wasn't working. So I just rubbed it with my with a jar, with a spoon, with my hands.
What was under the paper? Was it a flat surface or a
Flat.
So it was just like a tabletop?
Yeah. The texture that you see is what I tried to do unsuccessfully with the comb and brush and whatever I had on hand, but it didn't come through. Yeah, I wanted to take away a lot of the black, but it didn't work that way. So I just left it.
Well, I'm sort of happy with what it is.
You know,
you may have some sort of, don't forget, you may have an idea in your head of what you wanted, but that's not what we're seeing. We're seeing what we're seeing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I accept it totally.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, does everyone else sort of agree that
Yeah, I mean, I have still a question, because do we see such a section of it? Because I like the composition, but I don't know if we just look at the section of something,
It's a whole can of worms, Hans. It's all there is. There ain't no more.
Ah, okay.
It's corrugated.
That's great. Yeah, I like it, by the way.
I like it too, very much.
It's very, very, also the shapes and all these different materials. It's very, and loose, the looseness, and still everything compact together. Everything is very well in relation.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's funny when you photograph something after you've done it and you look at the photograph, you realize all the shortcomings that you were not able to see by looking directly at the piece. And I see it as not properly connected. Yeah, there's a rhythm to it. There's repetition. there is some kind of unity going on, but there's not enough of a cohesive.
Well,
Uh,
go ahead, Barbara.
I think that part of its appeal is the fact that it is going off the perimeter, so it's not all contained, that it is, in a way, it is floating. I don't want to, I know it's not fair to add information about your own situation, but I think it's a very successful way of channeling what you've been dealing with lately. And I think it's a very refreshing change from the colors and the shapes. And this just has a restful quality, but it's also, there's something ambiguous about it. It's floating up there. It just, I really like it very much.
Well, thank you, Barbara.
I do too.
I like it
I
too.
like it too. I like the unadorned quality of the scraps materials. They're not painted, and I like that simplicity. The simplicity, the humility of just those paper scraps, and how you turned it into something like a little cosmos.
It's
I
a
actually like
I
it.
think it feels a little raw, which is what I like about it. I think that,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of emotion that you put into this. And I think that you're sharing how you feel, and I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I looked at the colors that I had, and I said, I just can't do this today.
No.
I just couldn't.
I like the lack of color because it's subtle and there are colors in there.
Yeah.
They're just unusual
Yeah.
ones to use.
They're very subdued.
Yes.
And that's nice. It holds together.
Thank you.
Last week we were also maybe it was, I don't know, the week before, I'm not sure when, we were talking about artwork in combination with text in poetry.
Yeah.
And I can
And
see
I was going to do that, and I said, no, can't do it.
but I could see this really, in a book form, just
Yeah.
working on this theme with these materials and so on and so forth. It's up to you, the artist, but in in context with the written word.
Absolutely.
Quite.
It was. It's been a dark mood, a dark time. And so, that was like too personal at this point.
Yeah.
I thought about that. I said, I can't do that. Not right now.
No.
But I chopped it off inadvertently. There's a little continuity, more continuous space on the right-hand side. And I really, I apologize for that. It's a little bit larger, and I'll re-photograph it and send it along next time.
Well, we like it like it is.
Well,
Because that's, as I said before, that's what we're seeing. That's all we can respond to is, is what you show us and what you put in front of us.
right,
That's what we have to
Yeah.
of course.
respond to.
Yeah.
So let's see so here's another one.
Wow.
Rhomboids and triangles.
What is
Great.
Oh my.
Marcia? What is the background color?
The background color, Aljona, is a very sort of a steel gray
Okay.
construction paper that was supposed to be black, but over the years
Faded.
has faded.
Yes.
They fade. I have some really old construction paper around here that's so
Yeah.
faded.
Because I like that color. That's why I'm asking.
I do too. Yeah.
Yeah. It's sort of like a Payne's gray without the blue.
Yeah.
And is it
Yeah.
gradual, like from the upper left corner down to the bottom where it's black or dark? Or is that the way it was photographed and the light reflects on it, which we have talked about before on these things?
Yes, you're exactly right, Aldona. It's the light reflection from,
Uh-huh.
from my light source.
Right.
Yeah.
I saw the difference too, as you're rightfully pointing out, but there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah. Unless you hang from the ceiling and photograph straight on
Right,
the floor.
Even then, when you're hanging by your ankles, it will still keystone and will still not be straight.
right, yeah.
You know?
I really like your default palette here, the color coordination.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's really, beautiful. The gray and the tans and the reddish orange and the white and the way, the yellow. The way it all works together. These colors are really quite beautiful, and
Yes.
they're composed so that they function, that they work.
It's sophisticated.
It is sophisticated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it creates a lot of space. And it's so without. We have a feeling it's done without effort. It's just, but it's so complex and it's great. I love it.
Well, thank you.
I was thinking of these amazing paintings you're going to love the illusion here, but by Holbein,
Oh,
where I'm going to explain, where he paints, like an engineer or a craftsman with his tools hanging on the wall. So, you know what I'm talking about?
yeah.
So there's all of the tools, the overlapping tools, the fact that this is like the Renaissance, or late Renaissance, whatever, and they're using, technology, mathematics, new tools and so on and so forth. And you see them hanging in the artist's studio. It's usually a portrait, but this is behind him to indicate his, his profession. And it has kind of that quality. It's very simple, but yet together it becomes very complex and very interesting to look at.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Like the triangles, T-squares, squares, etc.
Yeah.
I once said to Phyllis, I think no home is complete without a T-square and a couple of different angles. My father was a cabinet maker and a carpenter, and I am personally fascinated.
Your father was?
My father was a carpenter and cabinet maker.
There you go.
Yeah, and so I'm fascinated by wood and angles.
Interesting.
Yeah, I just adore angles. I do adore, and they come in so many different ways.
I didn't know that. It's pretty interesting.
And when I was in art school, I remember trying to use a T-square, and it's just never straight, no matter what you do, unless you have another pair of hands holding it down against a really hard, thick edge. It's just never straight. It's just the way it is. Machines can make it perfect, humans cannot, and that lends itself and adds to the quality of something that's handmade.
Some of these juxtapositions and the forms, I love this little hole here, remind me also of Juan Gris,
Yeah.
and Cubist, play on the tabletop and what's going on, and the way the shapes and the negative, positive, shapes are formed. But it's really nice. It's very simple and very nice. And it becomes complex.
That yellow is really a tan. There's like a complete absence of bright colors, which is usually what I do. That's a very subdued kind of beige tan. It appears yellow here, but it's not.
Right. Okay.
It's really very nice, Marcia. It's very pleasing to look at.
Yeah, I love this shape here that, all comes together. Looks
Yeah.
like sort of a Coke bottle, with half,
Yeah.
filled
Yeah.
with Coke. But it's
Yeah.
in the foreground, on the table in a way,
Yeah.
whereas
Mhm.
this
Mhm.
goes behind, So I mean, so all these things are going on, these relationships.
Yeah. There's a lot of
Make
movement.
it interesting.
You can keep going in a kind of a circular way,
Mhm.
following these angles.
Mhm.
So Marcia,
Yes.
I really like both of these. I was trying to comment on the first one, but I was muted the whole time. So,
Oh,
but no, that's okay. You can, I don't need to see it again. I'm just saying what's amazing to me is both of these pieces, and they
Mhm.
have different appearances because you have shapes bleeding off the edge in the first one and not in this one, but they're both incredibly balanced. So it's interesting to me how balanced you made this. And I don't know if that was like a major effort and you just placed
Yes,
it.
It
But
was, because to me, the best kind of balance, which is something that what we try to achieve in every piece that we do, is asymmetrical, because it's much more complex and much more difficult to do than, the sofa with the two matching end tables and the two matching lamps.
But
That
what
is
I
so boring, that, asymmetry, and we're all personally asymmetrical, different
Yeah.
eyes, different ears, different body parts.
mean,
I find it interesting.
Well, I'm thinking more about as a whole picture, how balanced they are as pieces of art. And I like seeing them together almost because it's like because it also creates like an inside outside kind of view for me of space. They both give you such a different feeling of space, and they're both so balanced, and it's brilliant that it's not done in color because you don't even need that. It's just wonderful.
Right.
Wonderful.
Thank you. It's very kind of you to say, you who are so admired.
Oh,
Thank you very much.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, wonderful piece.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Oh, wow.
So Marie, is there an order to these that you want?
No.
Okay. You want to talk about this a little bit?
Well, I did want to talk about Marcia's.
Okay, you can.
Okay, sorry. What I wanted to say was I really love what everybody was saying about it. What I keep coming back to are where the points lead.
Yeah.
And I think that was so masterfully done. And
Right.
I couldn't look at this for so long because like what Hans said is right. There's so much space here, and there's, it's just really well done. And I really like the colors, and I think it's interesting. It's really beautiful.
Thank you very much, Marie. Thank you. This is gorgeous.
Marie, this is framed. Was this in a show?
This is framed.
Yeah.
And it was in a show.
Uh-huh.
And my mama bought it.
Nice.
Cool.
Nepotism.
That's sweet.
Yeah, not like I wouldn't have given it to her, but what the heck? It was for charity, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is 4 feet by 5 feet.
Oh.
And what the part that I like the most about this is that I like the scratching.
In the black.
In the black, yeah. And I kind of learned to do more scratching from this piece.
Is this how old is this piece?
It's about a year or two.
Oh, okay. It's current, in other words. Yeah. What is it? Acrylic oil?
It's acrylic, yeah, on canvas.
I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
Me too.
the limited reduced palette.
Mm.
Just two
Yeah.
colors in black and white, from the canvas, or maybe there's a white paint. Yeah, I guess there's a little white paint too, but the very, very limited palette, and it really, really is effective. It's elegant and effective. And then, of course, all the mark making and the incredible, bravado of it is pretty contagious.
It's very dynamic and not overworked. I mean, it's very, as he said, it's really a good, great piece. Yeah, I like
Very
it
good
very
piece.
much.
I love the text.
I'm going to replay that part.
It's very.
Now, I've got to say, my only question, I'm not sure, I mean, critique as well, but question is, did it need these shadows? Because we've discussed these shadows before, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think they work, but we know that, shadows, behind a paint stroke is, it's a trick. It's a, it's a little bit of a, you reach into your bag of tricks. It works, which is why it's used, it works, it creates space. But I'm just wondering.
I don't know. I think that's a good question. I mean, I don't know why that one particular tool bothers you, but I don't think this painting actually needed it too much.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if it needed it. That's
but
all.
I've been, that's when I was working.
Because there's no other tricks in the painting. It's like what you see.
That's a good question, because there are plenty of tricks in here.
Well, I know, but they don't.
Yes, there are many tricks here.
Yes, but they don't read as tricks.
Okay, well, one person's tricks is another person's trade.
No, but I believe it's not overdone, I mean, it's not, I have no problem.
I don't have a problem with it either. It was just a question that I was raising.
No, I think it's a fabulous question.
You tell me, please, where you think the shadows are, because I see scratching. I see color upon.
Look at my cursor. Look at the cursor.
In the upper left.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, I see.
So this is a shadow that traces this brush stroke. You see the brush strokes here? Here's a brush stroke. And here's the shadow.
I the color element that was
See,
repeated.
here's a brush stroke.
Yeah.
Here's the shadow behind it.
I don't read that as a shadow. I just think it's really part of the interesting linear effect. And I happen to, Marie, I just love the way you use texture.
Oh God, yeah.
It's so full of delicious texture.
Well, that's a big compliment coming from you, texture queen.
I really love this painting. It's got so much interest, and I agree with Mark. The color palette is very appealing to me.
Oh yeah,
yes, me too. Yes,
I also like the way you kind of anchored it with this, really strong black that's also dripping down.
Yeah,
it really holds it down, while this side just seems to want to go up. So it all works.
Yeah. Yeah,
great. What is the blue color? Is that Payne's gray with white, or is that like cobalt? Or
no, it's oh my gosh, I can't think of the name of it, but it's such a pretty color. I'll get it.
Light blue.
Look, it's like a purpley blue.
Oh, periwinkle.
Periwinkle.
Like a periwinkle.
Periwinkle. Yeah, so it really works in this. Works great.
So this is part of that new series that I've been doing with the ceramicist Beverly Halpert.
Right.
And as you can see, this is my studio, is my garage.
I like your car.
No.
That's not bad. Go on.
Yeah, so what we're doing that's different, the way that we're working together is a different approach. What we're doing is Beverly, I paint first, and then Beverly, the ceramicist, came to the studio and placed the pieces on the artwork, and she bent them. She had some straight lines and, but she actually worked off of the painting, which we hadn't done before. Before we did sort of our work in parallel and then together. So this is, I think, a little bit more integrated. What we're also trying to do with this piece, which is 4 panels, it's 2 feet by 4 feet panels. I don't know if you can tell by this picture, but I'm separating the first panel from the second and the third panel from the fourth panel. And what I want to do is I want to show the ceramics going over the painting. So it gives you more depth and you can see that. So this is black, white, paints gray, and also gray. And those are the colors that we're going to use on the ceramics. It's mostly going to be black, white, and some gray.
Okay. Are there any other photos of this process? Is it as it goes on? No.
No. What we did do, I don't know if this is of interest, but after the clay had to dry.
Right.
Okay. After the clay dried, we took a photograph, and then I got a Xerox copy. And then what we did was we decided which color should be on which piece. And then we just used that as a diagram. I don't know why I told you that. Was that TMI?
These pieces,
Giving away all your secrets.
Oh, I have no secrets.
is the ceramic pieces, are they fired?
They're not fired yet. They're going to get fired. They get their bisque, they get fired, and then she applies the glaze on it. Yeah.
And then they're attached to the surface.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
So what we need to do, we have this great glue that we found out. It's really glue. It's a marine quality glue, and it really sticks well to the canvas. But what we have to figure out is how to handle the pieces between the 6 inches.
Right.
How are you going to transport this anywhere if they're held together by ceramic pieces? I mean, it's extremely fragile.
Yeah.
So we need to kind of figure all that out.
Yeah.
But that's kind of fun. I think what we're going to do is put a white panel behind the.
Just thinking that,
Yeah. And then what we would do is it would be a very large canvas that then would have the ceramics on it.
Right. Yeah.
You need a flatbed truck to transport it.
Well, the flatbed truck is parked behind this car here. You can't see it.
Anyway, so we're just learning.
And Mary, where does she get her way? Is she reacting to your painting, or how does she work? Come to these snakes or forms or whatever? Or
it was interesting because she had really just straight pieces, and she formed them there, as she saw the painting.
Because Marie, here's the thing. I know it's 2 people and they're 2 languages. They're 2 materials, 2 completely different, processes. One is ceramic, the other is painting, and they're 2 different languages. So the question is she just responding and adding her thing, or is there actually a dialogue going on between you 2?
Big dialogue.
Is it just more about placement and the forms?
No, a very big dialogue. And as we work together, this might be our 4th piece that we're doing together. As we work together, we get smarter, at working together. So it was really clever idea to come over and then, integrate more of her work there, as she's looking at the painting. But we talk about the shapes We talk about whether we should add more paint, you know, so
Right.
it's a lot of, you know, back and forth. It's really a dialogue.
Mm.
But she's a ceramicist,
Yeah.
and what does she usually do? Like more smaller objects, or
She
Oh.
usually does the wheel. She does a lot of the
She
ceramics.
throws pots.
She throws pots. And before that, she went to, I think, BU and graduated as a sculptor, I think.
Right.
but
down-
you are not telling her what she has to do, right? Or are you?
I would say it this way. We both look at it, and she has ideas, I have ideas, and then we collaborate. And when it's about the ceramics, I try to stay back a little bit. When it's the painting, I think she does. So, but not to say that we don't.
You know, because I have, you know, when I look at this thing and collaboration, you know, I see there some, you know, I can't right now relate to her alphabet, what she's doing, you know, exactly.
Right.
But it would be, for instance, incredibly interesting if she could really take like a brush stroke and make this three-dimensional, you know, and you add that to it. So you have this effect of sculpture and paint, but then it's really related to that thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know exactly what these lines at the end are doing.
Yeah.
Maybe they are interesting, maybe not. You know what I'm saying? It's a,
Yeah.
Let's look. We're going to look at this.
Oh.
Okay, so this
Uh-huh.
is another painting collaborative effort that we had done also. So
Oh, and I'm sorry, in the right-hand corner, those 3 ribbons of clay, that's kind of what Hans is talking about, right?
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah.
In a way, yes.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt.
No.
never interrupt.
Uh-uh.
Yeah, so this is, I'm just showing you the process that is different for us. So, you know, it probably takes as long for me to paint as it does to do this step as we collaborate. Bless you. And, you know, so it's just, it's really interesting because we're both, this is like probably our second step. Our third step is when we put it back on how we want to add either another layer of paint or different shapes. So, yeah.
So just the technical thing now, you're using your garage as a studio now?
Guilty.
Yeah, because I was having the same thoughts now that the weather has warmed up here. Of just opening up the garage and painting in the garage, and maybe, you know, then you can work large and you can also be sloppy. You don't have to worry about ruining anything.
The only thing is when you start painting, you got to make sure you take both cars out.
Yeah.
You mean, Mary, you don't have more than one garage?
I know. Horrible. It's horrible.
But I like this piece already a little bit better.
Yeah.
Here,
This
somehow
looks better.
it has more something going
More
on.
integrated.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah.
You know what I like about this is I like the kind of casualness and literalness of these shapes right here, and just this. So it's more relaxed. It doesn't feel quite as fussy as this. So, in other words, it has more resonance with your painting style, with your paint strokes. They're just, it's more direct, you know, less ornate, and just a little more simple, but within her own language. So this one seems to work a little better for me. Like just these flat things that are kind of, you know, like a noodle, you know, and I don't know, there's something a little more less fussy about this one.
Marie, it's just in the bisque state or the
Yes.
wet clay state?
Well, it was wet and then it dried in my garage, which my husband wasn't thrilled about because he can't put the car back.
Yeah. And
You
it's
gotta give it up for art. And so,
Right.
you know, so, yes, so she took the pieces back and we'll fire them and then we'll apply the glazes.
So are you done with the painting?
Well, no, because when she comes back, we'll see what the color looks like. And what we've done in the past to make it more integrated is I could go back with actual paint over the ceramics. So it's like multi-layers, you know.
You know, also just, you know, the plain color of the clay
Yeah.
is something that, you know, is raw. It is what it is and might work. You don't
Yeah.
need to paint them all necessarily. Just something to
Yeah.
add.
But when you bisque them, they do turn color. They turn a reddish.
White.
don't they?
They'll turn lighter, I guess.
Right.
Depends on the type of clay.
Yeah, yeah.
She also mentioned, you guys know a lot, especially Leslie. I know you guys know a lot more about clay than I don't know really anything. And she said when she fires them, she loses about 15% of, you know, they shrank.
Oh,
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's something that
Wow.
we have to learn too. When we come back, it'll still look as good. And so, yeah.
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 Ah,
The water evaporates from the clay in the oven.
Yeah.
And usually, depending on the clay, it will change into a pink or a, you know, altogether different colors depending on where the clay comes from. I'll have more oxide, less oxide, more sulfur, blah, blah, blah. But have you considered a plastic clay that you don't have to fire?
but that's not permanent.
Could be.
Yeah, it is.
It could
Could
be. There are clays, but that's up to the ceramicist, you know,
Yeah.
she's comfortable working with.
Well, thank you for looking at it. I know it's work in progress.
Yeah.
but
Well,
just-
Marie,
No, it's fun.
what
Fun
colors
with it.
were you thinking of for the clay? For this one?
It depends, obviously, where it is, but here we would pick up that, you can't really tell, but it's a very bright blue. So we pick that up, and then that orange, red, and then some gray, and then a little bit of black.
I see.
So like she really is, you know, she wanted it to be very colorful. But what was interesting, I'll just say real quickly, is that we took I had 4 color Xeroxes and we actually colored it in with markers so we could see what it would look like. And then we cut from one and pasted it. And it was a really good process.
I want to see those.
You know what? I should have photographed those. But
Yeah.
Those are, that's the meat.
Marie, run down to your garage and quick take a picture.
no, you know what? I don't have them. She took them back so she would know. how to
Oh,
color
because
them.
so she, okay. Yeah.
Well, you know, we've just spent an hour, so it's probably time to wrap up. But I really
Yes, so I'm very excited, Mary, how it's going with this work. So it's we hope we see more.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll take a
those
look
things.
in the, you know, next week or the week
Yeah.
whenever. We'll take a look at where this ended up, where it went, and how it developed. So it'll be interesting to revisit these pieces.
Yes.
These are in progress, as you mentioned, as we can see. But very nice. Thank you, everyone, for your submissions. And it's always interesting to really probe, you know, to excavate these pieces. It's always, you know, it's full of information and insights, and it's really fun. So thanks a lot. And I thank everyone for tuning in to our inaugural New York Matters, Art Matters New York debut on live streaming, YouTube, and the world.
And we hope you are joining us next week.
Right.
Tune in for more.
Thank you, Mark and Hans.
Thanks, everyone.
Is
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank
Wait,
you.
wait, we're not done. We're not done. Are we still live?
Well, you
Now you have to stop the
You-
stream now.
so you
I think I stopped it. Oh, no, I didn't. Okay.
Paul May. How do we